Okay, time to start another one. Well, I decided I needed to take that primary apart next, so anyway, when I went to take the bolt out of the center of it, it was already loose. And I just pulled the cover off, and there it is, clean as a whistle inside there. I mean, the alternator stator looks good. The wire looks perfect coming out of it. From what I can see of the primary chain, it looks good, although it's a little bit tighter than it should be. It should have about 3/8 of an inch of free play, and there's really no free play in that at all. It's a bit snug, but anyway, I'll carry on with that and let you know what else I find. Uh-oh, where did that go? Anyway, everything came apart really easy here. Like the primary, like all that stuff is in really nice shape. Even the inside of the clutch, there's only a little tiny bit of rust on the clutch steel plates. That'll clean up really easy because, like I said, it's just a little tiny bit. The engine came out textbook perfect. Like I said I was going to, I just cut off those old fuel hose or oil hoses, excuse me. But anyway, I'm ready to open up that timing chest there tomorrow and see how the points are in here. I think I'm probably going to use the old points. I'm not a fan of electronic ignition, but I do have a kit I could use if I want to. Anyway, I'll think about it. That's for further down the road anyway. But yeah. So let's see. Here's the old isoelastic mount. You can see how that round rubber, that looks kind of rusty right now, but that's actually rubber. You can see how that's compressed from the weight of the engine sitting on it, and that's what happens after, 55 years of sitting there with an engine on top of you. But I'm going to replace those isoelastics anyway with the newer vernier adjustable ones there. So anyway, the next thing to do, like I say, we'll have a little look inside this engine, see what I find under that timing case. I'm not expecting any surprises because, like I said, so far everything looks really good. All right, when I got the cover off of the timing chest here, I didn't see anything too outstanding at first until I started looking at the cover itself, and I said, well, where's the seal? The seal is not there. Okay, guess what? Here's the seal, right on the end of the crankshaft. And here's the snap ring that's supposed to hold it in. So the only thing I can think of here was that snap ring wasn't properly seated in that groove there in the case, because if it was seated in the groove, it would be almost impossible for that to push out of there. So anyway, I'll put that in there with the screws. Everything else looks pretty good in here. Why, even the timing chain slack is just about perfect. I think you're supposed to have like 1/8 of an inch there, and that's about what that is. So anyway, the surfaces where the seals go on the camshaft and on the crankshaft itself both look great. So I guess the next thing to do is get these sprockets and gears out of here, and then the oil pump. Here's the seal that goes on the oil pump that actually seals the pump to the timing case right here, and then oil flows over here to the seal on the end of the crankshaft, which supplies the crankshaft. And the oil coming this way feeds the top end through this little banjo bolt, and the excess pressure will be relieved by the pressure relief valve, which is right here, and just dumped right back into the crankcase again through yonder little hole. So anyway, no surprises there, except for the seal. Okay, and 20 minutes later, got everything exposed there. The cam chain tensioner is, there's the usual amount of wear you'd expect to see on it, but it's very little. I can just kind of barely feel it with my fingertips. That is, as I had suspected, a ball bearing on this side. So that will be getting replaced with of course, two of the newer Super Blend type bearings. One of the reasons why I suspected that was a ball bearing was that I noticed that there was almost zero end play on the crankshaft when I got the primary cover off. I was playing with that, and I thought, there's no movement there at all. Like usually with Super Blend bearings, you get a little bit of end play. And I've never seen anything in any of the books I have, at least, to tell you what that end play should be. So what I do is I try to set them up like Triumph recommends, which is 5 to 15 thou. I prefer going closer to 5 because the less end play I got, the happier I am. But of course, you need enough end play so that the bearings can move back and forth and not wear on the end of the rollers. So anyway, everything's good so far. I guess the next thing up will be to pull that those oil lines out of the way so they don't get bent or banged or anything, and I'll go ahead and split the cases and find out what kind of condition the crankshaft is in. Yeah, I'm back at it again this afternoon. As you can see, those bearings are a little bit worn. You can see the copper through the babbitt there, so anyway, that's fine. I don't mind replacing them at all. I was planning to anyway. Here's your ball bearing on the timing side. That'll be coming out, as I mentioned before, in favor of the Super Blend ones, along with the roller bearing on this side. Now, the great thing about this whole thing is these crank journals are at the standard grind. So I don't need to get them done because they are within about 4/10,000ths of an inch of being perfectly round, and that's well within spec. So I'll be able to use those cranks again without needing to get them reground, so that'll save me some money. I will take the crank apart so I can clean the sludge trap, which is in here. It's not as technical a sludge trap as what you'd find on a VSA or a Triumph, but it's basically a great big hole in there, and it does collect up sludge and junk from the engine running. So best thing to do when you have an engine down like this is to clean it out, and that way you know what you're starting with. You know you've got a clean trap and it's not going to get plugged. There is one other thing I noticed when I was taking the primary apart on this was there's a little bit of damage here on the end of the crankshaft where the alternator rotor sits. Now at one point or other, the nut that holds all this together has started to rattle around. And as you can see, it was starting to cause the keyway here to get beat out. So what I'll do here at the end of this crank is I'll braze it up and get it in the lathe and machine it back down, and then I'll clean up that hole where the wood rough key goes in, and it should be back in business. Anyway, so far so good. The less machining that I need to get done to this, the cheaper the rebuild's going to be. Okay, I think I'm going to call that it for this video. I'm looking up there at the crankshaft on the bench, if you're wondering. Anyway, I know what I need to order for the main part of the engine. I need new main bearings. I need new connecting rod bearings. I need new pistons and rings, and of course gaskets. I still do need to get into that cylinder head and check the valves and guides to make sure they're still serviceable. If not, well, then I'll have to order parts to replace that stuff too. But anyway, in the meantime, I think we'll call that a wrap. Thanks for watching.